It's time now for our 360 round. We'll bring in our panel to discuss NVIDIA. Joining us now, Hatem Dhiab, the managing partner at Gerber Kawasaki Wealth Investment Management, and Louis Kondratev, the trading associate at X Funds. Hatem, let's start with you. Your thoughts on this blockbuster report we got from NVIDIA yesterday afternoon?
Hey, good morning, Molly. I mean, it was fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen a company execute this well. I mean, yeah, they grew earnings 60%. They're printing a ton of cash. But for me, is guiding for 300 to $500 billion in revenue over the next 2 years is really insane. I think the reality is all of us thought, or a lot of investors are thinking, that this AI is more of a bubble territory and kind of almost getting to the end. But NVIDIA has shown us that demand is just really, really strong and will continue to be for years to come.
And Louis, coming over to you, we saw the blow past the sky high expectations. How does this quarter change the narrative that we've been seeing pivot a bit away from into this AI bubble territory? Are we looking at peak euphoria here, or did we get peak validation yesterday?
Yeah, so exactly. So we didn't see any economic data coming out of Washington, D.C. In October because of that shutdown. But I'm going to say that NVIDIA's earnings probably replaced them. That's my take. And, the question was never, can they beat the estimates? It was, can they raise the forward guidance for Q4 and for the following year? And that's exactly what they did. You mentioned that $500 billion in pre-orders. They're selling out GPUs, the cloud GPUs. This company is on full steam ahead. I think the AI rally is just only going to continue, and we're still bullish long-term on NVIDIA.
And Hatem, what about this quarter gives you confidence and tells you that NVIDIA's business is still grounded in fundamentals and just not hype?
Well, first of all, they lost the China business and they still grew 60% year over year. So that tells you how well they execute. Two is really the margins. NVIDIA is running a 74% margins. I think Jeff Bezos says a long time ago, your margins are my opportunity. And NVIDIA seems to be able to keep these margins because I don't think there is any other player in the space that can come close to how good their full stack is. So it's not just a GPU story, it's just really software, building GPUs, and really the ability to iterate and innovate every year after year. So if you're a data center trying to spend, I don't know, $5-10 billion or more, you're only going to NVIDIA and NVIDIA alone. So really, that's why I think the business is so resilient going forward.
And Louis, a lot of the sentiment that we were hearing yesterday when we were previewing the earnings was that it wasn't going to be so much about the numbers, but it was going to be about the guidance and if they could raise it and by how much. And that was really going to determine the response that we saw. They did obviously meaningfully perform well and meaningfully raise guidance. How meaningful is that $500 billion pre-order figure for Blackwell and Rubin?
Well, I think it's extremely meaningful. I mean, I think it's hard to make a bear case against NVIDIA right now. It's practically impossible. And I think the automotive revenue is something that we should really look at too right now, because it only grew at 1% this past quarter, but I think it's an overshadowed and overlooked part of NVIDIA's business right now. You take a look at Waymo, Uber, Aurora, they're all using NVIDIA GPUs to train their AI models for autonomous driving. So if you're looking at NVIDIA, you're not only looking at these GPUs, but you're also bullish on autonomous driving, which we are. And if you are bullish on autonomous driving, then I think that NVIDIA has the opportunity to grow in this space a lot more than we're expecting.
And Hatem, I want to talk about some of these circular deals. We kept having these conversations about the circular nature of some of these AI deals coming into the earnings yesterday. NVIDIA is certainly doing a lot of that, investing in these startups that are then ordering NVIDIA chips. How concerned should investors be that this is distorting demand, or if they should be concerned at all?
It's a fair concern, right? Like you don't want to be investing in your customers and have them just turn around and basically round tripping and buying more chips of you. But I think the question here is, how do you believe what Jensen says, which is the size of this AI trend is going to be X amount. So it's going to be several times bigger than it currently is. And what the NVIDIA is doing by investing in these top players, they invest in the startups, they're investing in data centers, they're investing in design. What they're doing is really they're priming the pump, right? They're making sure they own the whole kind of infrastructure, they own the whole space. And what they're doing is they're helping these newer players really invest or at least build on the NVIDIA ecosystem so they can actually continue to be the main player. So for me, I think looking at these deals and knowing that a lot of these deals are actually financed by revenues actually is a positive, not a negative.
And Louis, last question to you. If you're a long-term investor watching NVIDIA, watching their performance, hearing these numbers, hearing their outlook, what do you do right now? Do you buy more? Do you hold tight? Do we start trimming?
Yeah, I think that's the question. We've been long-term bulls on NVIDIA, and we've been invested in NVIDIA for a while in our funds. But I think for recent investors, they should buckle up and get ready for a little more volatility. I think quarter by quarter, we're going to be keeping a close eye on NVIDIA because they really are almost holding up this economy. And I think you saw that this past month, we were down. NVIDIA was down 8%, and I think that dragged down the entire market as well. So if you're a short-term investor right now, I'd say hold on to your shares, but just look to the long term because that's where the real growth for NVIDIA is.
And Louis, I highly doubt that you were watching a board while you were talking just then, but you said to prepare for some volatility. And as you were talking, we watched NVIDIA turn into the red, now trading down about 0.25% after seeing some pretty substantial gains on the heels of their earnings. But I want to thank you both for being with us for our 360 round to talk about NVIDIA and their impressive earnings report that we saw yesterday afternoon. Hatem Dhiab, managing partner at Gerber Kawasaki Wealth Investment Management, and Louis Kondratev, trading associate at X Fund.